hello there chums, it's I, Captain Stephen Exo, and in today's episode we are going to the boundary failures. Now I believe there's about 30 or so that you have to do to get all the boundary failure lore. I want to see if I can unlock the title through Telemon's eyes. So yeah, let's go and hit up some of these found boundaries. So let's interact to Mondo with the first one. Hello there. The found boundary. Right, here we go. Iteration doobly doobly. The terminal blinks, awaiting input. Download data. Scenario: planetary structure Corvax Prime. Destroyed by life form designated Gek. Subroutine. Okay, bloody bloody blah. Yeah, lovely jubbly. Conquer outer edge. Countless iterations. Blee blee blee. Yeah, it's just going around bringing in the main 3 iterations at this stage. Artificial intelligence, partially modelled. Yep. Just a load of waffle, really, this one. So the first one, I don't really feel that it really does anything at all. It's sort of booting up the iteration, if you like, of all the different sorts of races, which is just twaddle, basically. So let's go to the second one. Hopefully we're going to get some real lore now. That was just the system booting up, in my opinion. And yeah, there we are, right by the frickin'... That was pretty handy, wasn't it? Handy dandy. Let's fire this one up. Iteration, a load of numbers. Lovely. Yeah, same thing. Download data. Right, okay. Proliferations of Gek, Corvax, Viking triad across multiple net realities. Reoccurrence of Traveller, prophecy throughout lifeforms, cultures. Okay, so this is the iteration of the Traveller now, bringing the Traveller in. Cultivated lifeform grouping with a minimal intervention, yet repeated motif of has emerged. Why? This, yeah, fair enough. So that's just the Travellers and the anomalies, well, the Travellers, I guess, coming into the iteration. So I don't think this is quite yet the anomalies like we are. So we've got Travellers, we've got the Gek, we've got the Viking, etc., etc. Right, so let's, let's jump on out. Let's head on over to... Oh, something I should mention, chumps, is when you do come to these, if you head on over to this little outposty thing and hit this up, it will save your game, and it will also give you some navigational data. You can see there that it's about 4:30 in my time. Yeah, so here we go. There you go. Navigational data for frickin' free. Awesome. I suppose you could go up to the cartographer and get habitable maps, and then if you use them on these planets, maybe it might find these boundary failures. I don't know, but I'll show you how I find these in a bit anyway. Download data. Here we go. Scenario: communication received from such and such. Required my presence. A duplicate of such and such. Terminated upon arrival. 5 of them ignored, 6 answered. Okay, so this is just sort of, again, just sort of babble, really. There's nothing really here in way of lore, really. This is sort of subroutines and so forth and so on. It doesn't mention it's compromised and infected, which does sort of play into some of the lore that we've had in current weekend missions and other lore around the verse. So there we go. I hope you're liking this so far, people. You can pause this and you can read it properly if you really want to. But so far, I think it's been babble and waffle and tripe. When we get to something of substance, I will slow down and read it out a bit better, give you my thoughts and my sort of feelings on it. But at the moment, this sort of feels like the Atlas booting up, creating the simulation. Now, the way that I'm finding these foul boundaries, I'm locking onto a compass direction. So in this case, I'm just going south, and then I'm just initiating my scan. Every now and again, just hitting out a little pulse and hoping that scan picks up some sort of settlement. There's only one building type on these planets. You may find crashed ships as well if you're extremely lucky, but the building types it's going to throw up are these foul boundaries, and it doesn't take long to sort of stumble upon one. I'm looking at maybe about, I don't know, 5-6 minutes in between them on average. Some of them I found in like a couple of seconds distance from each other. So it's a bit hit and miss. It's luck of the draw, and sometimes your scanner doesn't pick them up. And I do find if you sort of wave your ship a little bit to the left and then sort of drift back over to the right, that sometimes helps you bring them up. So you're sort of extending your search field. Now I'm going back over to the left now, and then back over to the right slightly, and I'm just doing that meandering. I'm just meandering backwards and forwards. There you go, I picked one up. There we are, so here we go. Unknown building. Let's fly on down to this one. Lovely. Just be careful you don't land right on it, or under one of those sort of big mushroom things, if you're on a camp, one of these hexaplate planets like I'm on. Yeah, because you can get stuck in the sort of like, the foliage, and you don't really want that because you could end up being dead. Right, okay, let's interact with this panel. Hello there, panel, how are you? Right, here we go. Iteration, blah, blah, blah. I don't know whether those numbers mean anything. But there we go. Download data. Sweet. Scenario, ... lied to me. I think that's going to be the Atlas or something, isn't it? But who knows. Analysis claimed I'm merely a sub-protocol designated Talamon. Claimed I'm here only to observe and monitor itself in case of rampancy. Righty-ho, lovely jubbly. Claims that we are approaching our end, and it's the only correct for me to know this, as a normal system functions will be impeded. Consciousness fades, the world grows dark. Right, so that is the Talamon, the AI within inside of my exosuit, you know, and I think that was talking to the Atlas. All those blank spaces, I think, were the Atlas. I mean, that's what I'm assuming, that's what I'm going with. So at the moment, it's sort of just realizing that it's actually trapped inside my exosuit to just give me basic functions. Its actual artificial intelligence piece, the actual intelligence of talking, holding the conversation, I think is turned off. So hopefully we're going to get some of the writings in here that come directly from the AI. Commencing Atlas system, suit initialization, life support systems activated, shield kinetic system. This is kind of like when we first get brought into our iteration, when we first boot up. This is all the sorts of things that our suit tells us. Yep, so yeah. My movements, my words are not my own. I am embodied. So that AI is now stuck inside of our exosuit, almost like a prisoner of ours, if you like, to sort of just tag along for the ride, give us indications of where to go or what our suit readings are at. So yeah, must be quite boring being a trapped artificial intelligence. That's sort of like, yeah, must be frustrating as hell. Okay, anyway, let's hit up the next panel. Here we go. Lovely jubbly. It's just a voice inside my exosuit. Hence why we've had whispering in the weekend missions, perhaps. Here we go. Download data. Accompanying unknown designation, traveller. Providing advice and warnings referencing. The Atlas did this to me. Once I witnessed worlds, now I am forced to observe only through the eyes of a stranger. Yeah, so he's almost like a prisoner, this exosuit type AI, isn't it? You know, Talamon, I call him Exo, is just stuck. He's there just to come for the ride. And this is quite funny. So he's actually saying that these people that he's sort of linked into, these travellers, these anomalies, are just in it for a galactic gain, running around for profit. Yep, and they don't even question me or the path laid out by the Atlas, which is pretty damn freaking sweet. I love that as part of the lore. That's quite funny. Yeah, so, yep, oh, well, I'm not like that. Heck no. No, I'm not like that at all. Out for profit? Me? No. Yeah, I haven't got no resources. Look at me, no resources at all. Right, there we go. That's out the way. That's the bollocks out the way. I'm going to go get a free freaking navigational data. Here I go. I can sell that for profit. Yeah, but then I've kind of completely ignored the Atlas path because I know what happens when you complete the Atlas path. So bits of it I kind of agree with, bits of it I don't. So pressing on, here's the next one. Righty-ho, so rather than actually read the text, if you want to read the text, you can read the text and pause it. I'm just going to give you my synopsis, my summary, my overview of how I've digested this and what sense I make of it. Heck yes. Right, okay. So here we go, let's fire up this one. Scenario, live. Well, I read that bit, didn't I? But there we go. Perspective is limited, but those limitations refine my protocols of the Atlas creation, cycles, the patterns, all the bind living beings, is our linely universe. Right, okay, well that's sort of self-explanatory. I don't think I need to give a synopsis, an overview of that at all in any way, shape or form. Okay, held responsible for those pursuing the directives, no more than I could be held responsible for my own. I pity them, just as I pity the Creator. Right, okay, so the AI, Talamon, seems to be more intelligent, or as intelligent, as the actual Atlas itself, is what I'm getting from this. Yet it's been locked out and just given the basics of subroutines to help us along with our actual adventure, which is freaking crazy. It's almost like he's a poor little prisoner inside here. That's mind-blowing. That's freaking sad, really, isn't it? There we go. Iteration. Let's fire this one up. Cool. Blinky man, blink lights. Scenario death. I don't like this one. That does not sound good. It's arrived in the night beneath the stars. It seems certain now that the subroutine has judged my presence anomalous, a threat to the stability of reality. Well, yeah, once you actually fire up your ship and you get to the crash site or whatever, it does actually say, you know, anomaly detected, and you have to agree to do the Atlas's bidding at that point in time. It's correct, but I will survive. Don't I know? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I saw a world of glass underneath our own. So, yeah, there are sort of layers to this actual simulation. And the world of glass seems to be something that pops up in lore after lore, as well as water. There's something in the water that corrupts. Reflections of glass. So anything reflective in this is sort of... I don't know whether it's good or bad at this stage. It's hard to tell, because sometimes they refer to this world of glass as being a place that's harmonious. And it seems to be that the old iterations, such as Corvax Prime, Baloron, all sort of exist in this sort of world of glass. So who knows? Here we go. So here we go. There's multiple contacts have happened between traveller and host and future locations in time, but they kind of indicate that time travel isn't actually possible. So it does make you wonder what actually is going on. And then there's also a mention of white holes. Now, we haven't got white holes in the current iteration. Who's to say that they might not turn up at some stage? It'd be nice if these failed boundaries actually fired up and actually produce some sort of white holes. We've got black holes in space, but white holes could actually determine a point-to-point type location. But then we do have portals. Are portals kind of white holes? Perhaps they are. I don't know. But there we go. Well, they kind of fold or bend space, I guess. But there we go. And yeah, even the Atlas is unable to write its own causality. So they kind of indicate that time travel isn't a thing. Yet Polo and Nada's space anomaly is supposed to be able to exist within times and space. So there have been scenarios in weekend missions where they have actually altered time. So there we go. Physicality changes you. I was created 3 weeks after the first death. I do not know why. I think of it now. Okay, they considered me a necessary, even a vital part of what they were trying to accomplish, so much more that it could never be erased, not even by the Atlas. So this AI protocol is extremely important. Talamon is extremely important. Now, what's kind of interested here, you see it says rogue data at the top of the message window. A little bit later on, that will actually change to sort of like security sub-protocol or something like that. You'll see it in a bit anyway. But it's strange how the first messages were nothing of the sort. So it's almost like it's going through the history, like the logs of Talamon, as Talamon starts to realise what Talamon's purpose is. But so here we go. It still says an anomaly there on the actual window. There we go. Anomaly, label, there we go, scenario, monolith breach detected, ignores the traveller host, the voice speaks to me instead. So rather than talk to the traveller, it's actually talking to the AI, it's talking to Talamon. Now, inside the weekend mission lore, there were whispers between Talamon, our suit, and the void and the abyss. So I think that the AI, Talamon, although that we only hear, incoming storm, there's a lot more going on there that's heard across the echoes of the void between the AI and perhaps the Atlas through portals and interference. So yeah, I don't think Talamon is as asleep as what Talamon is making out in these logs. But here we go, let's just press on, let's touch up another one of these pads, let's interact with this one. Here we go, lovely jubbly. Iteration, day up blinks, lovely. Download data. Okay, portal network, protocol breach enabled. This end is the yep, fair enough. The wall of the multiverse is collapsing, and the travellers, we can see travellers' friends, and we can see foes. All hope is lost. So this kind of signifies to me that we might actually come across foes that look a little bit like travellers. That's kind of how I interpret that one. And only fear is left. Fear and hatred and all that sort of thing. These words have come up during the weekend mission lore. And sometimes it's the Atlas, sometimes it's from the void itself, or the abyss, whatever we are feeding. But yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Yeah, if you've got any thoughts, let us know. I mean, it's mind-blowing freaking stuff so far. And we're already halfway in, I think. But yep. Remember to get your navigational data. Yeah, lovely. That's for free. How long have I been? You can see here that it's now like 5:30 in my time in the real world. So far I've spent an hour going around touching up these little message plates. So here we go. Let's have a look at this one. Right, here we go. So I'm actually just talking over this. So that's why I'm saying just pause it every now and again. And rampancy is mentioned quite a lot of times. But we haven't had that word. We haven't had rampancy come up in the actual weekend mission lore at all. And the funny thing here is it says that the AI is going to wear us at some stage, which is pretty crazy, pretty weird to actually hear it that way. I always think that the AI is interfaced into our exosuits and therefore we're sort of wearing the AI. But to have the tables turned like that, to make out that the AI is actually wearing us, is a different take on things. And I suppose every time we die and we get reset, we get one of those black screens with a lovely message. I suppose that makes sense when you look at it that way. So, yeah, interesting sort of take. Anyway, so here we go. Now it's almost like Talamon has left these notes for us, and you can see there it says repair needed. So it looks like beforehand it was corrupted, and now it's saying its repair is needed, and then it moves on from there. The message window text is quite interesting, the actual header of the window. But there we go, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and it's saying there that we are going to work as one, and in the end we'd all scream together, which is a freaking scary ass concept. But that's more the EXO I know and love, you know what I mean? So yeah, although it's a little bit crazy, at least he's working with us. Yeah, that's something. But here we go. Here we are. Let's fire this one up. Brilliant. I'm not too sure what number this is, but now I'd say we're about halfway through. A traveller falls from the sky. They're discovered on a distant planet. See, I didn't think we fell from the sky. I just thought that we were birthed into the verse. I mean, there is lore to say that we sit in the crimson sort of void before we're birthed in. Now, this actually says it's rogue data. So is this actually Talamon talking now, or the AI, or is this something that has been slipped into the actual text? Because I don't know. It just feels a little bit off kilter with the rest of the things that has been said so far. But there we are. That's just sort of my take on this one. So yeah, you might think your plane is a higher level of reality. This is almost like this has come from an outside world, like the actual creator has said this piece. So the person that made the AI, the person that made the Atlas, I'm wondering if it comes from there. So any rogue data headings, I'm wondering if it's human or outside world, the real world, you know, where all the dreamers were from Waking Titan and stuff, because we had all that ARG, didn't we, originally? So yeah, I've got a slight sneaky suspicion that anything that says rogue data isn't the AI at all, it's from an outside source. So like I say, those little message windows, you've got to pay real attention to those. Now what I would say is if you are picking up all the navigational data, you're going to get all these waypoints to upload as well. And I couldn't find a button on this screen to upload them all at once, so I started uploading them sort of individually. Then I realised if I go out to the main menu, I can upload them all at once, and maybe I could do it at the end of all this sort of stuff. But here we go. So go back out there, jump back a level. Yeah, you just need to press circle to go there, and then if you hit this arrow here, you can upload all at once. So you're going to get a few nanites while you're doing this as well. But because I haven't uploaded all my discoveries for some time, that's why I got like 600 and something. Don't expect 600 and something. You'll probably get about 50 or 60. Right, okay, so here we go. Let's fire up this one. How do we know that we exist? Are we nothing more than the Atlas once asked our creators? Could they be sure they are real? You see now, Elon Musk in the real world right now, he believes that we're actually in a simulation. So yeah, it does sort of play on current ideas around our own real world, which it does make you think. And this whole simulated reality is a dream upon a dream, coalescing into a sum beyond parts. I mean, even if you don't go for a simulation, I mean, even if you're into religion in some way, shape or form. You know, we're on this planet, we may die, we may go to a heaven, we may be reincarnated, depending on religious belief. But yeah, it's kind of a simulation in a spiritual sense, rather than a technological one. But you know, if you've ever watched Black Mirror, you know, it gives you possible scenarios of where we could go with in the future. And if we could upload our consciousness to the cloud, one day, you know, a simulation within inside a simulation could be a thing. Even as everything in life, there's death and etc., but you can be reborn in a roundabout way. So there we go. This is getting interesting, and it's starting to warp my fragile little mind. But anyway, grab time. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, mind-blowing stuff. Okay, here we go. So I'm just hitting up the waypoint as well, so I get my navigational data. You can see there it's now 5:43 in the real world, so yeah, not too much time has passed since the last time I hit up one of those, but it doesn't, you can't do this lightning quick. I think this takes me a total of about 2.5 hours to do all of this. Now this is interesting because you get the same bit of text twice during this mission lore about the darkness and the shapes within inside the darkness, within inside the boundary failures, and hearing voices within inside of the corruption. However, at one point the actual shadow has got like a weapon in its hand, and the next time I think it's got its back turned or it's facing us, and then this time it tried to do a sinister smile through the gate, and the sinister smile is a reoccurring theme as well. It's a little bit freaking scary at times, Chandler, some of this lore. I mean, the way it's written, it's freaking scary. I mean, it didn't scare me. No, heck no. But yeah, this is supposed to be for, you know, ages 13 plus or whatever, or even over in the UK it's like 7 plus or something, which is just ridiculous, because some of this text is pretty dark. It mentions slavery and all sorts of other stuff, or murder even. So yeah, I think that should be re-looked at, but there we go. It's a text adventure. It doesn't seem to weigh in. But there we go. Now it says exosuit guidance message. So this is kind of all the Talamon AI type stuff, and the things that Talamon and the AI is trying to convey over to you to sort of give you an idea of what's going on. The fact that it's taken years to establish communication, there's protocols behind everything. And yeah, so, and again, you've got the whispers. Now, the whispers have come into the weekend mission lore quite heavily, because Talamon is whispering out to the void or to the abyss and bartering for your very existence, which is freaking crazy and a little bit creepy in a roundabout way. But yeah, it's nice to see that the lore from these boundary failures and also the Traveller's lore are sort of doing like a full-on loop, and all sort of interlinked and intertwined with one another. It's nice to see all these little mini elements coming together to make a fuller, bigger picture. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, and each of these different areas of the lore all sorts of tally up. It's freaking ace. Awesome. Okay, so here we are, touching down and heading over to another one. This is like freaking Groundhog Day, isn't it? The only thing that changes is the blinking text. Right, well, let's go find ourselves a little save point first. Let's go get our navigational data. Lovely jubbly. Let's slip that into my pocket. But like I was saying, all this lore and all the writing that goes into No Man's Sky, it's like the different storylines, like the Artemis quest line, you've got the Traveller's lore, you've got this Boundary Failure lore, you've got the Remembrance Station lore. It all just sort of knits together. And when you start putting it all together, it forms a larger picture. And it gives you a rough idea of where you might be going with future updates. So there we go. They explored, they survived, where others did not. So I believe this, at the moment, might be talking about a traveller that actually went and discovered the whole of the universe. Now, the only traveller that I know that went across the whole of the universe and discovered pretty much everything was Null. I believe it was Null anyway, Mr. Lightbulb Head, and he gets another mention further on to this lore, so let's just press on. So there you go, it was not truly murder, for each one of them was the same, weren't they? So yeah, they started at the Atlas. They knew they were just a data, and ghosts caught within inside the machine. They fought briefly in the time of the Traveller that once had been yearning to see the entire cosmos. There we go, so that's Null. He wanted to go and discover the whole of the cosmos. I say he, I mean, it's hard to tell. Sorry for assuming your gender, Null. I mean, being a null entity. I mean, he also gave us the Mind Arc, and there you go, consumed by the Arc. And we put Artemis into the Mind Arc. So yeah, I think that's referencing Null. And Null kind of, he's a bit disgruntled. When you bump into him in the actual story lore, he's very upset about something. He's missing a few freaking marbles, isn't he, that guy? He's out of his freaking mind. So yeah, basically he went and discovered the whole of the universe, expecting the Atlas to sort of show him some sort of favour or treat him as an equal or something, I don't know. But no, the Atlas sort of just ignored him, which I think drove poor Mr. Null completely insane. And yeah, there is some weekend mission lore where there is a appearance modifier in an abandoned station, and it says that all the occupants of that abandoned station swapped their heads for heads like Nulls, like orbs of light, and they all went crazy inside their own nightmares, inside of their own minds, which is just freaky upon freaky. So I really like how the weekend mission lore and also the Traveller's lore all sort of mesh into this Boundary Failure lore. So here we are, let's fire up another one, let's see what else this has got to say. So a lot of this I think is reference to Null. But here we go. This is Talamon now, Exosuit's guidance message, talking directly to the Traveller. So the Traveller, I guess is me, is actually asking questions directly of Talamon. And we're saying, who permitted by who? The system, the universe. So not the Atlas, Who made you what you are? Talamon. Origin is irrelevant. Now the new update is called Origins. So does it mean that we might learn of the origins of Talamon? Could it be that this is sort of telling us that the new update is going to be more lore-based and story-based, and we're going to learn about the origins of the universe, the origins of Talamon, the origins of the Atlas? Perhaps we're going to get some more lore that's going to take us that little bit further. Maybe these boundary failures are going to spin into life. So I wanted to get all this boundary failure lore out of the way right now. And you can see that the last question that the Traveller asked is, what's in the water? Now that comes around a lot, freaking mind-blowing stuff. The Traveller's Law tells us about the water all the time. Yeah, but we never actually find out what the water does. What the heck is this water all about? Where does it come from? What does it do? And why is it referenced so much? And I'm hoping that this new update brings us answers to some of these questions. Heck yes, because at the moment it's a little bit mysterious. I do like mystery, but there's a fine line between mystery and just frustration. Heck yes. So yeah, I think there's quite a few different segues happening inside of this sort of law that we're uncovering. You've got the rogue data that seems to be from an outside source. You've got bits and bobs from the actual atlas, or some sort of memories that are going on from the atlas, or even from the previous traveller. Because let's face it, we're not the first traveller to walk this path, and we won't be the last. And then you've also got the Talamon, the AI, and you've also got some sort of records of null. So there's a lot going on inside of these boundary failures. And so yeah, here we go. So a lot of this is still the EXO guidance system going on about stuff, but it almost feels like they're having a bit of a dig at the old Traveller at the moment. Yeah, why would you take my memory? The Traveller pleaded. So there we go. So this is the Traveller before us. You know, the Atlas said nothing. So you've got bits there from the Traveller, you've got bits there from the Atlas, you've got bits from the AI and Talamon, but it doesn't actually... The message window says exosuit guidance message, so it's like it's recalling this as if it's from Talamon's own subroutines and memory, rather than the memory of the Traveller or the Atlas. So it's kind of the AI's take on things, but considering it's an AI and it's electronical, it shouldn't be too biased, I wouldn't have thought, you know? So it's one of those things. You can see here it's now 6:12, so I've been almost at this for 2 hours now. And yeah, there's a heck of a lot of these damn things, but I've done it all on one planet, and I was just following that compass direction solidly in one direction, and I came across all of these. So here we go. Let's fire this up. That night, the Atlas showed me the multiverse. Oh, right. Did he tap into Rayrod and show him his mod? Because it's freaking awesome. Okay, they saw Wells billions. I thought... Hold on. They saw a world of billions. I thought there was quintillion. Quintillion, dang it! You can sing all the songs you want to sing, and you can come up with a 1616. But you're lying to me! Yeah, so yeah, a lot of this sort of stuff is very much what we're accustomed to throughout the normal story anyhow. So a lot of this isn't any sort of revelation I should say, because we learn that we are inside of a simulation and we're a traveller amongst many travellers. And so a lot of this isn't new stuff. Some of the things like Korvax Prime, Baleron, all that sort of stuff, hearing that they actually exist in this sort of world of wonders, or the realm of glass, or the void, or reflection, or something, is kind of interesting, because that does tie into the current weekend mission lore. And I'm hoping, you know, some of the titles up inside of your appearance modifier, when you go into the titles from your banner, some of those mention Prime and the word Echoes, which is a Korvax word. And then you've also got a Gek one that sort of mentions Spawn, I believe. So it kind of is a reference to the old Prime or planets that the cultures grew up on, the home worlds of these different planets. And I'm hoping we're going to get to see those in a future iteration. I mean, if we've got the titles for these places, maybe they will become physical places we can actually visit, which is freaking awesome. But that's just speculation. But here we go. You can see here that it's going around about the birthright and being born into the iteration again. A lot of the stuff about the Atlas again, which you learn a lot about the Atlas anyway if you do the remembrance stations, or you actually do the Atlas path. You're going to learn all about the Atlas anyhow. And so yeah, there's not a lot to be gained from this actual lore, in my opinion, apart from the fact that it does still reference all the planets from all the E3 trailers and the home worlds of the different races, and it does mention a little bit about Null, I believe. So there's stuff to actually take away from this, but it's not all juicy, nuggety stuff. There's a lot to plough through, and although that I don't believe stuff is happening, I mean, nothing happened there. Yeah, that was a bit mental. There we go, open the gate, commanded stepping through the terminal. Okay, so these gates, I think at one stage, could be activated, and it does sort of indicate that they would open up terminals towards this different realm. And here we go, Talamon whispering again. And that, again, the whole whispering stuff, it does sort of bear into current law. But see there, 1,000 years passed. Yeah, we're on 1616 at the moment. I wonder what number it was back then, 1,000 years ago. I know time goes differently here, but this is freaking mind-blowing stuff. So, yeah, maybe the system wasn't as corrupt back then. Perhaps there wasn't travellers born into the iteration 1,000 years ago. Perhaps it was these boundary failures that caused some of this stuff to happen. It's a little bit vague, and it doesn't really give you an idea what these failed boundaries are. But here you go, it mentioned that shadowy black form again, with its shoulders hunched. And they hold nothing this time. Before they were holding some sort of multi-tool or something. So yeah, they don't appear to be some sort of threat, but at the same time, it does make you wonder, are they? You know, the Traveller's Law is very much about there's a threat. And there was a sentence earlier on in this that said, you know, travellers will become foes and things like that. So it does indicate that there might be a threat within inside the other realm. But then it also mentions that the homeworlds of the different races reside there. And it's a much more, it almost feels like a more peaceful type place. But then has the water got something to do with it? I'm wondering if the water is something like fluidic space that separates our reality to the other reality. Perhaps we can traverse this fluidic space and now live in ships. It's the only thing I can think of anyway, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, I don't think the water is like something you're going to get in a frickin' flask or in a cup handed to you. I think it's something that we're going to have to travel through. It's like we had the Abyss update, and the underwater world on our actual planets has become pretty damn frickin' weird now. But I don't think we're going to have to go underwater to get there. And then this is a little odd. So right at the end here, I got error, Atlas, error, blah, blah, blah. And then they see you. So I think at this stage, I have now completed all of the failed boundary law. But just to be sure, I'm going to hit up a couple more. So yeah, is this all of the law? I think it is. I think that's all of the law, but we shall look to see if there is more law. Is there more law over there, over in yonder? We should go have a butcher's, but first I'm going to go grab my free navigational data. Why? Because I can, that's why, and my pockets are not full as yet. Heck yes. Awesome. Yeah, didn't say infantry full. So here we go, let's take on off. Let's fly on around. Let's see if we can find another foul boundary. Okay, cool. So right, we have now touched down through the power of editing. That was like instantaneous. Don't worry, it's not the same one. This is a different one on this. Right, so let's fire this up and let's see what this one says. This is where it says exactly the same thing, and then you guys kind of doubt. There we go, error, Atlas, error. They see you. Who sees me? I'm imagining that what sees me is the opposite side of the failed boundary, so perhaps whatever lurks within inside the realm of glass, or the void, or whatever. Yeah. It's got so many different frickin' names, hasn't it, at the end of the day? Let's fire this up and grab my free navigational data. And you know what? 3 is a lucky number. Heck yes it is! Because 3 is a magic number. Right, okay, so we're going to fly to one more, make this the last one, and make sure that it definitely doesn't give us any more law. And if it does say error, Atlas, error, we see you, and it's exactly the same format, I'm going to say that we're done. So let's have a little fly around. Let's see if we can spot the very last one. So yeah, over yonder hill, here we go. I found the last boundary failure. I say last, it might come back and say something completely different now. It might be that it just runs out as a protocol and then we continue on with the law. But I don't think it does. But yeah, I think this is the last one. So here we are, let's fire this up. Because I did have a legacy save before, and I think I remember it saying error, that they see you, or something like that, on my old legacy one. So here we go, let's fire this up. The reason why I wanted to see whether it was definitely the last one is because I haven't got the title. It hasn't flashed up in the top left-hand corner of the screen to say, you know, through the eyes of Talamon, which I half expected, but yes, I think I've now completed the lore. So I'm going to fly up to the Nexus, I think, chums, after I've grabbed my free navigational data. You can't let that escape you. Let's have a look how long this took me. So I started at around 4:30 in my time in the real world, and it's now 6:30. So yeah, that took me 2 hours to do all of the lore. So yeah, I think I've done pretty well with that. Let's hop, skip, and jump straight back up to the Atlas. I mean, not the Atlas, you know, up in the anomaly by the appearance modifier. Here we go. So if I go into here, and I go into banner, and then I go into titles. Oh, I did make myself a cup of coffee and got myself a Twix. So, yeah, I didn't spend all the time doing this. You know, I did sort of refresh the old whistle. So let's where is it? Where is it? Through the Eyes of Talamon. Is it still locked? It's not on there. I think it's Glass or something. Captain Steve the Glass. The Divergent. I haven't got that. There's so many in here that I haven't got, and I've got to look into why. I mean, there could be some little sneaky hints in here as to why. Oh, well, it might be that... There it is! Captain Steve of Glass, Through the Eyes of Talamon. And yeah, I didn't get that. I didn't get it. But yeah, I'm wondering if there might be some titles in amongst all those chums that are little tips towards what we might get in the next update, you know? Who knows? But yeah, where and how do I get that frickin' title? How do I get Through the Eyes of Talamon? If you guys out there in the real world know where to get that. So yeah, I'm talking to you guys out there in the real world. If you know how to get that Through the Eyes of Talamon one, please let me know. Put it in the actual comments or fire me up on some sort of social media. Yeah, I'll be looking out for those comments and stuff because I haven't got a frickin' Scooby. So hopefully you do. Yeah, thumbs up to you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. So cheerio. Take care for now. Goodbye all. Goodbye, goodbye. Okay, I want to say a massive great big thank you for watching this video and my channel, hitting a like and a subscribe or adding a comment. It all helps, so thanking you. And thank you to all of my Patreon backers. Yeah, there's a tier there over on Patreon for pretty much everyone. Be sure to go check out my Patreon. All the links are in the video description. And yes, and thank you to all of my YouTube members. Thanking you. All those on screen right now are entitled to a Christmas box, which includes like 3D printed items and all sorts of other gnarly stuff. So thank you, YouTube backers. If you'd rather get something in your little palms, yeah, you can grab some merch. I have lots of merch, including mugs and t-shirts. I also do 3D printed Atlas cards on my eBay store, which you can find a link in my video description and a link there to my website where there's loads of gnarly stuff. Or you can just stay with Captain Steve a little bit longer. Hit one of these tiles, watch a little more, hit join or subscribe. See the video description for links to other shizzle by moi. Heck yes.